Most Americans now believe terrorism is the #1 issue facing the country. Tuesday, hours before the Republican debate, Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton laid out her strategy for fighting ISIS and protecting the homeland. The former Secretary of State also criticized her Republican rivals for fear-mongering without offering realistic solutions.
Now, waging and winning this fight will require serious leadership. But unfortunately, our political debate has been anything but serious. And I'm confident we will once again choose resolve over fear. Shallow slogans don't add up to a strategy. Promising to carpet bomb until the desert glows doesn't make you sound strong, it makes you sound like you're in over your head.
Nancy Cordes joins us now from Minneapolis. So, Nancy, run down the key points of Clinton's counter-terror strategy.
Hey, Contessa. So she's giving a series of speeches about ISIS, about terrorism, and this speech here in Minneapolis was specifically about how to deal with homegrown terror. People who, in many cases, are U.S. citizens who become radicalized after reading social media, after communicating with people from abroad. How do you stop that? How do you recognize who's been radicalized, and how do you keep people who have been radicalized and have gone overseas from coming back into the country and doing harm to U.S. citizens? So she talked about the fact that perhaps we should be screening the social media accounts of people who apply for visas to come to this country. That's something that isn't done now. You'll recall that Tashfeen Malik, the San Bernardino shooter, was here on a fiancé visa from Pakistan. She also suggested that people who travel to some of these countries where ISIS has a stronghold, any time over the past 5 years, perhaps they should undergo extra security screening and background checks as well when they come back to the United States. But to be honest, Contessa, beyond that, she didn't lay out many plans that law enforcement, that the administration haven't already said are a big priority for them. And I think that it shows how politicians from both sides of the political spectrum are really struggling with what to do. How do you pinpoint when somebody has been radicalized before they do harm, when they've never gotten into trouble before?
But Nancy, it strikes me when I'm looking at this graphic of the key points here. I mean, support law enforcement? How vague is that? Who would get up and say, no, let's not support law enforcement? Pretty much everything that's on this list is something that her Republican rivals would say they agree, they espouse. In fact, I talked with Trump's spokesperson, and she said, hey, we have to go through and screen their social media accounts. How crazy is it that we're not doing that already? So where would the departure for Clinton be from the Republicans?
Sure, and in fairness, she did go beyond saying just that we should do more law enforcement. She talked about the fact that that the nation needs a unified strategy to go after ISIS online. She says it's not enough to just go after them and try to minimize their territory overseas. You've got to
It would be a cruel...
That is how they're reaching people here in the United States. She said tech companies need to do more. She said that law enforcement needs to figure out a way to intercept some of these encrypted signals that comprise, the main way that terrorists and would-be terrorists communicate now. But you're right. It is somewhat vague because, everybody from the White House on down is sort of struggling with this new reality. And you had the FBI director say point blank last week that law enforcement simply can't keep up with the technology that the terrorists are using to communicate.
So she's in Minnesota, where a quarter of the Americans who have tried to join ISIS have come from, in terms of states here. And yet she took the opportunity today to really point out how much more gun violence is a threat to the nation's security and safety than domestic terrorism, and renewed a call for an assault weapons ban. That got a lot of play on social media today.
Right, and she has come under fire from Republicans for talking about gun control in the wake of the San Bernardino shooting, for saying that we need, to expand background checks and the like. Republicans saying, look, this isn't a gun issue, this is a terrorism issue. Clinton argued, you know what, it's both. And how do terrorists here in the U.S. Strike out, by and large, with a gun? And so she argued that, you have to make gun control part of this equation. And she pointed out that some 90% of Americans believe that background checks, for example, should be expanded.
Nancy Cordes in Minnesota. Thanks, Nancy.
You're welcome.